Hello and welcome to the training for ASP.NET Essentials. And basically, this tutorial has been prepared for beginners to the intermediate to give them a basic understanding of ASP.NET programming. And once you go through this entire video, you will have a moderate level of expertise in ASP.NET programming, and from there you can take it to the next level to develop very moderate to complex to intermediate programs. Okay, now to begin with, what is ASP.NET? ASP.NET is a web application framework, and it has been developed by Microsoft to allow programmers to build dynamic websites. It is used a full featured programming languages available like C sharp, VB.NET, and in the earlier version we also had J sharp and many more. So this tutorial, once you complete, it will give you a very good understanding of what ASP.NET is all about. Okay, and before you go through this tutorial, you should have a basic understanding of what programming language is all about, and you should have a fair bit of understanding of what HTML, CSS, Ajax is, all these web technologies. You should have a fair idea about what all these technologies are all about. Okay, so now let us see what all we will be covering in this training. So we'll be having an introduction, we'll be seeing what all the environment is all about, the IDE, the development environment that we have, the life cycle. We'll be going through some examples. We'll be seeing what are the different types of server and HTML controls. We'll be seeing client side scripting. We'll be seeing database access, how to manage states, you know calendar controls, multi-view, panel, Ajax controls, data sources, data binding, custom controls, error handling, debugging, link queue, okay, data caching, web services, multi-threading, what are the configuration files all about, and finally we'll see the deployment part. So now let us see what is ASP.NET all about. Okay, so ASP.NET is a web development platform which provides a programming model, okay, a very comprehensive software infrastructure and various services required to build a robust web application, okay, for desktops and as well as mobile devices. Okay, now ASP.NET works on top of HTTP protocol, okay, and it uses the HTTP commands and policies to set a browser to server two-way communication and to and fro. Now ASP.NET is part of Microsoft .NET platform. Okay, ASP.NET applications are compiled codes, okay, written using the extensible and reusable components which are present in the .NET framework. Okay, so the ASP.NET application could be either written in C sharp or Visual Basic .NET, and earlier we also used to have J sharp and JScript. Okay, now ASP.NET is used to produce interactive data driven web applications over the internet. It consists of a large number of controls, for examples, text boxes, buttons, and labels for assembling, configuring, and manipulating code to create HTML pages. Now let us see what is ASP.NET Web Form Models. So basically, web forms extends the event driven model of interaction of the web applications. Okay, now the browser submits a web form to the server, and the server returns a full marked up HTML page in the response. Okay, so there is a request and there is a response. Okay, now all client side user activities are forwarded to the server for processing. Okay, the server processes the output of the client and triggers the reactions. So in ASP.NET applications, okay, IIS is mostly used, which is Internet Information Services. Now what is HTTP? HTTP, Hypertext Transportation Protocol, is a stateless protocol. Okay, ASP.NET frameworks helps in storing the information regarding the state of the application, which can be either page or a session. Okay, now the page state is the state of the client. The content of various fields, like in a form, if there are fields like a registration form. Okay, then the contents are of the various these fields in the web form are collectively stored at the client, and the session state is basically for the various pages the user goes through or visits and has worked with. It is in the overall session state. Okay, like I can give you a simple example of shopping cart. Okay, now user adds item to a shopping cart. Now items are selected from a page, and then the total collected items are shown in the shopping cart. Okay, with the price and the details with the image. Okay, only HTTP cannot keep track of all this information coming from different pages. Okay, so ASP.NET session state, ASP.NET's session state and the server side infrastructure keeps track of all this information globally over a session. Okay, so it is all in the session state. Now the ASP.NET runtime carries the page state to and from the server across various page requests while generating the ASP.NET runtime codes, and incorporates the state of the server side components in various hidden fields. This way the server becomes aware of the overall application states and operates in a two-tier connected way. Alright. Now let us see what is the ASP.NET component model. Okay, it provides various building blocks of ASP.NET pages. So basically it is an object model which describes the server side counterparts like the form and the input and the various server controls, and helps in developing complex user interface. Okay, like a grid view control, a data grid control. Okay, now ASP.NET is a technology which works on the .NET framework. Okay, that contains all web related functionalities. Now the .NET framework is made up of an object oriented hierarchy. An ASP.NET web application is made up of various pages which are web pages. So when a user requests an ASP.NET page, what does it do? What happens in the background is the IIS delegates the processing of the page to the ASP.NET runtime. Okay, what does the ASP runtime do is basically transforms the page into the instance of a class which inherits from the base class of the .NET framework. Therefore, each ASP.NET page is an object and its component are the server side controls are also the objects. Alright. Now let us understand the components of .NET's framework. So here I am giving the latest framework example which is 4.5. Okay. Now .NET framework is an integrated component of Windows operating systems that support development and execution of next generation applications. Okay, like the Windows Store apps and services. Now .NET Framework 4.5 at its core consists of the common language runtime, okay, very often used as CLR, so people term it as CLR, commonly used. Okay, then the dynamic language runtime which is known as the DLR, and the basic class library which is known as the BCL. Then there is also portable class library and parallel extension and WinRT. Okay, with .NET Framework 4.0 there are various new additions in base class library which includes the DLR, the MEF, parallel extension, entity framework, WCF, data services, ability to host .NET 4 runtime with .NET 3.5, 3.0, 2.0. All these frameworks can run side by side under the same hosting process. Okay. Now let us go through the components of .NET framework architecture wise.